This intriguing little engine was a recent eBay acquisition, and there was something about it which just appealed to me. I think it's possibly scratch built, but whoever did it has made quite a nice job. You know, this is all pretty good. It all moves. You know, needs a bit of cleaning up and tidying up. Nice arrangement with the burner. Take the burner out. There's a little terry clip. Oops. Here in the firebox, which holds the flat part of the burner tube. So that's an interesting feature. But yeah, it's say the boiler looks to be copper or brass. The engine, firebox and base are all aluminium, obviously, by looking at it. And the rest of it is all brass. So yeah, it's an interesting engine. I think the guys actually used a split pin for the con rod, which is an interesting idea. But no, it looked good. It looked unusual, and I thought, well, yeah, I think I quite like to see if we can get this one running, give it a good old clean up, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't run. But yeah, we'll take it from there. So I've got the little solenoid engine all stripped down to its component parts, of which there are quite a few, considering that it's a fairly simple little engine. The only cleaning I've done so far is the boiler was extremely badly sooted up underneath. You can still see that there's still some soot left on there, but I soaked this in my magic fluid, as in white vinegar, overnight, which was very successful in cleaning off probably, I don't know, 80% of the soot, so that's great. So that's just going to need a little bit of polishing up, and that'll be fine. But yeah, it's actually very well made. I don't know. I'm still in two minds about this as to whether it's commercially made or scratch built. I just don't know. I have a nagging feeling now that it may well, despite the fact that it's got a split pin for a con rod, that it might actually be commercially built little engine. So yeah, so it's all apart. I've got a box full of screws as well for it, and the next stage obviously is to clean up each individual part. There's certainly some work to be done on the firebox because it's obviously got very bent and beaten up a bit over the years. And it's very flimsy, this. So in fact it has two these two rods here are stays that go across the middle to sort of give it some rigidity. So all the individual parts need cleaning up. So that's the next step. Got a few parts here which I'm also going to give the white vinegar treatment to. I'll close in on that so you can have a look at them. Basically what we have here are the two firebox stays, the little terry clip that holds the burner in place, the tube which is the chimney mount, and the safety valve. Now the two stays are extremely covered in soot, as is the chimney mount. The little terry clip is very badly corroded. Now I may well have to replace that with a new one, but we'll put it in the vinegar and see what that does. And I'm putting the safety valve in the vinegar as well, because I can see just by looking at it there's quite a lot of scale inside there, and the vinegar will simply dissolve that and clean that out completely. So those parts are going to go into the old vinegar bath, which is that little plastic tub there, where they will stay overnight and come out very refreshed and very different looking tomorrow morning. So if I ever covered the chimney, yeah, the biggest bits, yes, there we go. Yeah, so and no, in fact I'm not actually using brand new the white vinegar. This is white vinegar from some other jobs, which I always until it gets really, really bad, what I do with this is I filter it when I empty it out of the trays I've used it in, and then pour it back into the bottle, because for derusting and cleaning it's perfectly okay. If it's got a few particulates in it, doesn't matter at all. So that's that bit. Now these parts have been in soak for a couple of days now in the vinegar solution. Normally overnight is more than enough. You don't need to do 2 days, just I haven't had a chance to take them out yet. so they've actually been in longer than I would normally put them. I think, as you can see, I haven't touched them, I haven't brushed anything yet, but as you can see, there's a whole load of muck and soot, and that has just come away by the natural reaction of the vinegar. So let's get them out of there and see what we've got. Now, when you use a vinegar solution to clean stuff, once you've finished the process, you really need to wash it all off in clean water, which is what this tub here is. This is just clean water, and I'm going to pull everything out of there and put it in here. And that gets rid of any of residue vinegar, and because if you leave the vinegar on it, the process will continue. Now, when I put the parts in here, I disassembled the safety valve, and inside was a small spring and a very, very small ball bearing, and they're both in here. So I'm going to take those out first. Pop them in there. There we go. So that's the screw for the safety valve. That's the actual safety valve, and you probably can't really see that because it's very, very tiny, but that was completely that bit there, and also at this end, let me turn it around, that was all scaled up before, and now that's completely clear of any scale. So that's done its job. Now the other parts, which are the stays and the terry clip and the chimney mount, I'm going to give a bit of a brush while they're still in the vinegar to see if we can get some more of the crap off. Alright, let's start with the stays. Woo! Well, I think you can see that that's... Oh, it's basically cleaned up completely. If I put that one back and pick the other one up, which I haven't brushed yet, as you can see, that one's still black. So I'll give that a brush. The vinegar's absolutely brilliant for this sort of thing. It really is. It does a fantastic job. Corrosion, rust, it's absolutely fucking brilliant at removing, and it would appear it's very, very good with the soot as well. As you can see, that's cleaned up nicely, so I'll pop those in there, and then we'll have a go at the chimney support, which was quite badly covered in soot. Move that around a bit. Yeah, it's quite interesting that how soot sticks to different metals. You know, in the vinegar it sort of floats off steel and it just comes off straight away. But brass or copper, you have to give it a good scrub as well. I mean, it's definitely loosened it up, because if you just rub this with a wire brush, yeah, you get a little bit off, but you get nothing like what I'm getting off at the moment, because the vinegar's loosened it all up. Let's just make sure we get all the sides. Yeah, so there we go. That's come up really nicely. So I'll clean all these up, you know, on the wire brush to finish them off. But no, the vinegar just makes it just makes the whole process a lot easier. You know, and you just soak the stuff. There's no effort involved. You know, so as I said with the terry clip, we may well have to replace this. It was quite badly rusted. Yeah, that's cleaned up all right. So into the water, into the clean water, and yeah, that's about it. We're done. Well, all the parts for the little oscillating engine have been cleaned and polished, and it's now ready to go back together. We've still got to reattach the steam pipe to the engine plate, which was detached anyway when I got it, and pretty much then we should be ready to go. Bit of a different cleaning regime on this one, because unusually the firebox is made of aluminium, so it actually made it easier. It's quite flimsy, the firebox, so you have to be very careful with thin aluminium. But yeah, it cleaned up with just paper towels and metal polish. It was you know, which, considering like if it had been steel, it would have been much more difficult to clean. The burner still needs some paint The weather has not been suitable for that at the moment, but as soon as it warms, I get a bit of a reasonably warm day, we'll get out there and get the burner painted. But no, we can definitely get on and reassemble it. Well, the little oscillator steam engine is finally finished. The weather's improved a little bit over here in the UK recently, and it's got considerably warmer, so I was actually able to get outside and spray the etch primer on the burner. So yeah, it's all done. It's all ready to go back and to be steamed. It's come up really nicely. I did do quite a bit of work to the firebox because it's quite, the aluminium that the firebox is made out of is quite flimsy, and it was quite badly bent out of shape, so it needed reforming. But that wasn't too difficult. I have actually tried to run this on compressed air. I thought I'd test run it on compressed air, and strange enough, although it all looked fine, I could not get it to run. And this, was kind of surprising because everything seemed to be fine. But with these small oscillators, there can be a number of problems that can cause this. Very simple ones, really. You can have friction between the piston and the cylinder. That's one of the reasons why it will stop it from running. You can have steam leak from the pipe where it attaches to the engine plate. Again, that will sort of certainly stop it from running. You can have a mismatch between the ports in the engine plate and the porthole in the cylinder. That wasn't the case here. What actually happened with this one was, and I've had this before, basically the cylinder was not running true on the engine plate, and this can be caused for a variety of reasons, but normally what happens is it means that the engine plate is not flat. It's got a bend in it, or it's slightly curved, or it's uneven, or whatever, which was the case in this instance. But it was only very slight, but it's enough to stop the engine from running. So basically it's a very simple fix. You take the cylinder off, take the engine plate off, and then just lap them in. Use a flat plate or glass plate with some 400 grade wet and dry, and just lap the two surfaces until they're as flat as you can get them, which is what I did with this. Put it all back together and it ran perfectly. That was all it was. It was simply a very slight curve in the engine plate, which was stopping you getting a good seal between the cylinder and the actual engine plate. But so now it runs fine on compressed air, but it's not a compressed air engine, it's a steam engine. So the next stage is to get it steamed up and let's see it running on steam. Well, we've got water in the boiler, the burner is alight, and I can hear sounds of steam rising. So let's just give it a minute and see what happens. Well, I think we're ready to go. Yes, there we go, look at that. I think I might have overfilled the boiler slightly as usual. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Look at that. Oh, lovely. It's a really nice looking engine. I'm leaning more towards the fact that this is probably a scratch built engine than a commercial one. But there's just something about it that I like. I mean, there's a reason I bought it off of eBay in the first place. It just appealed to me. Very simple, very elegant. Just a nice little oscillating engine. Runs very well indeed, look. So. It's also quite a nice balance because normally these oscillating engines, if you let them run, just let them run with the burner going, normally they race away at some sort of ridiculous speed, whereas this is running at a nice speed. It's not too fast, it's not too slow, it's just right. Quite a small boiler capacity. I think I put about 120 millilitres in the boiler, something like that. So I'm not going to let it run for too long because, as I said, there's not an awful lot of water in the boiler. But no, always nice to see an engine after you've done some restoration, even if it was. I mean, this was a fairly mild restoration, just to clean up really. But it's still nice to see the engine run under steam, particularly. Yeah, you know, all right, it's one thing running them under compressed air, but the real sort of proof of the thing is actually running it under steam, and this was running absolutely fine. I'm well pleased with that. That's a lovely little engine, and very pleased to have it in my collection. So there we go. Little scratch-built oscillating engine of unknown origin, running under steam for the first time since I've restored it, and running lovely. Anyway, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this little video on this engine. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.